Nothing yet.
No, I haven't done it Facebook
Oh.
yet. Okay, now let's see what. Yeah, maybe complete. What do I care? Okay, anybody watching on YouTube accidentally, stay with us. We're having some fun here. How to spell April. April shower. You know. All right, and boom. There we go. All right, and here's how this works. Giving it for a second, and let's see how that goes. And now we're streaming there, and... The blab, 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 blab. Well, hello.
Hello.
It's Wednesday night, April 10th, 2019, and I'm getting all kinds of... Let me get rid of this here right off the bat. Hi to everybody from the beautiful top of the Plaza Tower Hotel in Racine, Wisconsin. Good job on the volume there, buddy. That's okay.
I turned my ringer down.
Yeah, that's good. I can let you anywhere near the nuclear fund.
No, don't
All right,
do
if
that.
you're catching us on Facebook Live at this time, or if you're listening or watching us on the YouTube channel, this is The Blab. I'm Scott Edward Phelps.
I'm Dave Simmons.
And the purpose of the program is we had some time on our hands, and damned if we couldn't figure out a better way to spend it. And we thought, well, you know what? Let's do a podcast, vidcast, and see what happens. And so we're trying out tonight. This is a pilot, as it were, as they say, like in the TV biz. We're checking lighting, we're checking sounds, we're checking... There you go, look at that.
And we are live.
And we are live. So we're live on Facebook, and we're also broadcasting on the old YouTube at the YouTube channel called The Blab. So check that out if you like as well. What is that problem?
That was my hand, probably.
No, I'm looking at dipped frames, it said on Facebook. I don't care. Dipped frames. We're going to be on till 8 o'clock. What's going to happen is here, real quick. We're going to do this weekly. Stream live 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then we will create an edited version of the video, and the audio portion of it will be posted online each Thursday, and then that'll run until the following week. You'll be able to get that on demand. And that's that. And what will we do? Well, heck, by the time we get through with this thing, we'll have some calls, we'll have some guests. I'm not talking about necessarily tonight. I'm saying that as we do this over the weeks and months. And we figure this is April the 10th. I'm guessing we'll throw a few advertisers in. We'll be filthy rich by October 1st, and then we'll blow this pop stand, and that'll be that'll be the end of that.
Well, it'll be straight to late night.
There you go. So I'm asking, oh, by the way, and just to say for fun, if you want to, and if you're on Facebook Live or something and you feel like it, and you want to post a comment, you can actually help us out. We don't know what the quality, and another disclaimer, you're kind of helping us out. We said this was the pilot. This is like the shakedown cruise of a couple that we're going to do, and more like a testing. Because this is a new equipment setup for us. It's a new look. And thank you, and I appreciate it, and I'm asking for help, but let me also give the proviso. I'm not looking for bullet point, chapter by chapter. Well, the lighting angle needs to be... I don't really want to hear all that shit. But if there's something egregious, if the sound quality is really bad, or if if your frame movement is real slow, or something that will help us to kind of figure out how we can jiggle and make it better, then I'd appreciate knowing that, because you're like our focus group.
Yes.
As it were. As far as content of the program is concerned, let me just kind of settle that from the get-go, and feel free to disagree with me. I
totally disagree.
We don't really give a shit what you think about the content. You either like it or you don't. You either want to listen or you don't. I'm not looking. I'm just teasing. No, I'm not. I'm serious.
No pandering zone.
This is one of those things, and talking about what to talk about when we talk about these things. This is one of those things, and I used to do this on talk radio. And I think, I know, because a lot of the listeners, a fair number of listeners would say they enjoyed hearing that, but it makes the suits and the program directors crazy. Because I would say things on the air like when somebody would call and go, your problem with your show is that you just don't, your voice is too high, or whatever the hell they would say. And I would say, you know what? I don't really care what you think about that. All right. If you want to express an opinion on an issue that we're talking about, and I said, my voice is too high is not an opinion, in my opinion. Okay. I don't care. If you don't like it, nobody's holding a gun to your head.
Flip the channel.
go bye-bye.
Yeah.
There you go. But,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. But people have this thing, and especially with social media now, all right? People have this thing where it's like, oh, well, all right. Everybody's an expert on everything.
On everything.
Okay, which really screws it up for people like us who are experts on everything.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, don't be caught, It's true. All right, what are we doing? Why are we here? Very basically because you and I have had some very interesting and challenging and energetic conversations.
And funny.
During the week. Yeah, because we're funny guys. And you said to me not too long ago, and my voice is high, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You said to me,
Hold on, I'm going to call in.
you said to me not long ago, you said, if you ever want to do a podcast or something like that, I said, well, okay, sure. And then I got to thinking about it, and I thought, you know what, this would be too cool meeting of the minds. And so we basically put this together, and what is it? It's one of the ideas that I had for naming the thing was two guys sitting around talking. But it's clever enough, but I don't like to tie people in, or I don't like to tie shows into numbers, because what happens if, like, you drop dead or I drop dead, then you got to change the logos, you got to change the T-shirts, you got to change the mouse pads, because now it's one person sitting around talking instead of two guys sitting around talking.
You could have me stuffed.
And speaking, we may come to that. Speaking of two guys,
Scott Edward Phelps, Dave Simmons, 1.5 men. Your call, the Blab.
All right, so, and that's why I wanted to call it 1.5 men, but then again, I'm thinking, what if I decide I don't want to do this anymore and you go off on your own, or...
Yeah,
Okay.
It would be like the half men show.
So it's the Blab. Why? Because it's catchy, and it's just one of those things, and that's what you do.
And as Julie said, the Two Jackass podcast was taken, so...
Two Jackass? Did she really say that?
Yes, she actually
Yeah,
did.
well, okay. Then the first prank call we do on
Is
this
to
program
Julie.
is going to be to Julie. Please don't tell her about it. So once again, one other thing, if you want to give us a shout, feel free, for either from Facebook if you're getting that broadcast right now, or at the YouTube channel, The Blab. And all you have to do to get the the computer is doing its own thing, to get the stream at YouTube, which is live right now, is just go to YouTube and search The Blab. There's half a dozen of them different ones. Just look for this really cool black logo. You'll see it. It's very obvious. Click on that one, and that'll bring you there. And that's it. And
Scott had to whisper in my ear for like 40 minutes while the artist rendered that, so...
yeah. It's in Dave's contract that the applause has to be
Every time I
signaled
speak.
And if you want to help us test the equipment and you feel like checking in and saying hi, this is what's really new with the new technology. We didn't have to have like 15 landlines installed or anything. We got this really cool little equipment where it takes the smartphone and Bluetooths to the thing, and then the dealio, and there you go. So 302-922-0276 if you want to call and help inaugurate this thing while we work through some stuff tonight until 8 o'clock-ish.
Awesome.
Other than that, we're just talking, and that's the reason why we're here, and that's that. I got something I want to start with you.
Okay.
I'll start the show with you, and then
Get in line.
You've got some things. No, because you're a musician,
Okay.
and as we go through the coming weeks, I don't want to try to lay everything into one show. Those people who already know you, those people who know me, they know our backstories. They know what we've done and where we've done, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But I don't want to we're only going to be on for another 25 minutes, and I want to do 24 minutes of biography tonight. But you and I have, in our own various ways, we have musical background, extensive musical background, and so we are very opinionated about music. Are you familiar with this, what is now being touted as it's going to be the song of the summer? Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus? Listen to this.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match.
Take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Okay, now you can imagine, and let me just say, for those people who do know me and they're expecting some kind of shotgun lamb blast to the side, I think that's pretty damn cool.
It's catchy.
It's catchy as all giddy up. But there's a lot of brouhaha because it is and was originally supposed to be marketed as country music.
Right.
Okay. And apparently some of the country radio stations are going, no.
Yeah, they've pulled it off their playlist. I saw that.
Because. So I thought I'd throw that at you as the world-class musician that you are and just say, you know,
That's stretching it. But
if we were sitting there talking like we sit there and talk, okay, what's your take on that? Is that country music? Does it deserve to be on country radio?
Country music has become, it's become a lot more liberal than it used to be. I mean, the Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, you know, those days where, you know, guitar, I Walk the Line, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then, you know, somewhere in the mid-'80s, Lionel Richie started crossing over to country. I mean, you remember that, right?
I do.
And it just seems like it keeps expanding. Now, most country music sounds like the Eagles. So it's almost like soft rock.
Yeah.
You know, the Keith Urbans and stuff like that. I don't see the problem with it, to be honest with you.
What you've got is, and this is my 2 cents, I think that the lines are, if they even exist anymore, they're very blurry. What you were describing, I lived in Nashville from 1975 to 1995. Did songwriting, some record production, some performing, et cetera, et cetera. Had a few cuts. We'll brag about those frequently in the weeks to come.
There we go.
We went through a period when I first got there in the late 1970s where it was already, they used to call it countrypolitan. That's when Kenny Rogers was first. And Kenny Rogers, for example, came back from his early pop career in the 60s when he was reinvented in Nashville with Lucille and The Gambler. Mm-hmm. And those were more country-fied songs. But then all of a sudden he was doing Lionel Richie songs, and et cetera.
Bee Gees, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Greenwood, you know, is about as country as I am.
Right.
But he was, and I'm not talking about the God Bless the USA, he never has to work another day in his life for the song royalties on that sucker. I'm talking about what he did he was a Las Vegas lounge performer.
Right, right.
So for 40 years now, those lines have been getting progressively more, et cetera. Almost 20 years ago, Shania Twain. When Shania Twain exploded, and by that I mean her record sales.
Yeah, Mutt Lange.
Not herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. She blowed up real good. Hooey! Mutt Lange, but very few people except inside people know that she had already recorded and released 2 albums, having been produced by a guy named Harold Shedd, who was Alabama's producer. Right. If you remember Alabama. I remember. And she couldn't get arrested because she was singing country pop. Well, then Mutt Lange of Foreigner, et cetera, fame came along, and the rest is history. So all this is kind of a long circular way of coming back around and saying, you know, I don't think there are lines anymore, so I don't know. And I understand why country music, quote-unquote, lovers are up in arms or upset about this, but I'd be willing to bet you that demographic is, there's not a person in that room who's under the age of 65.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're Tammy Wynette, George Jones, Conway Twitty.
Right.
That's country music.
Oh, yeah, to them, yes.
This isn't. And Billy Ray Cyrus, you know.
How many lives is that guy going to have?
Well, God bless him. You know, he's like the Ryan Seacrest of country music.
Boot Scootin' Boogie, Hannah Montana. I mean, it's like he just keeps being reborn. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he makes a living. And then there's his daughter who's, you know, kept him in.
Miley, yes.
In Lawstead along the way.
But talk about somebody who's immensely talented.
Miley?
Oh, vocally?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's no question.
Oh, my Lord, yes.
Yeah. You know what? I was a big fan of Hannah Montana. I thought I was. I thought the show was adorable. I thought it was very well written. I thought it was fun. It was I don't want to say wholesome because that makes it sound cheesy, but it was in a kind of, and you know what, they were 11, 12, 13 years old. It was like, you know.
It was like the 90s Partridge Family minus Danny Bonaducci. I mean, it just kind of had that same feel to me, you know.
Yeah. But the kids loved it.
Yeah.
And you could dance to it.
It blew up, yeah.
Had a great beat. So there's that. All right, so I threw that in there because I saw somebody already touting this song as the next big deal, which brings me around to the other thing as far as music is concerned this week. Mick Jagger had heart surgery this past week. And we could spend 2 hours making all the Keith Richards is still living and Mick had heart surgery jokes, but that's been done to death. No pun intended. But I saw something interesting. I do a weekly oldies music podcast, and as a result of that, I go through a lot of show preparation material each day to gather material for that show. So I have access to these things. And it was one of those entertainment service kind of deals that did a story about Mick, and he's recovering. But Turns out now they're having trouble. They had to cancel their tour or postpone a lot of dates
Right.
on their upcoming tour. But now it turns out that there's going to be major choreography problems, and I don't mean dancers, in that a lot of the venues that they play are stadiums. And they had this tour booked, so they were using the major stadiums in the spring and in the summer.
Yes.
Well, they're trying to shove these dates back. Well, now they're getting into football season, and the stadiums are saying you can't have the stadium because the football season arrives. Now, here's my thing to spur a little conversation. This was what one of the op-ed people in this, and I'm sure this kid's like 20 years old. I got it from the Tone. This is what he wrote. This is what happens when you play for the masses rather than for the art. First, stadiums are the worst venue for seeing or hearing music. In a perfect world, these multimillionaire artists would be plying their trade in incredible-sounding venues rather than these cash-grab football bowls. It's gross. At this point, it's unseemly. It's one thing to be shut out of a venue for another performance by an artist, but to be blocked from rescheduling because of a ball game? Other than wearing a tux to your gig, it probably doesn't get any less rock and roll than that. Sorry, you can't be the Rolling Stones because of a previously scheduled ball game. Real rebellious guys. All right, first of all, where's this kid been? Because the Rolling Stones have been a rolling $1 million corporation for 30 years now. What's the deal?
Yeah. Well, it's a young, he probably, like you said, doesn't know the history. Did you see the interview with Mick's brother?
I read some of it.
So,
yeah.
Did you see what he was saying about the health care?
No.
He said, well, luckily Mick is rich and he could come to New York and afford the best doctors in the world.
Right.
Whereas, like, if I had to have that surgery, I would have had to wait in line for the British healthcare.
National Health
the
Service.
National Health Service. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, he just shot that right out there. I was like, that was crazy.
The other thing was that it is remarkable, but this guy, and there's a wonderful poetic thing going on there. Apparently he's going to be fine and all that. Well, number one was he's apparently a pretty lucky dude because his brother also said in that interview that they found this heart valve issue during a routine checkup and that it could very well have been fatal.
It's the same thing that killed Joe Strummer from the Clash.
From the Clash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just never know. That's the old, poetic sort of 1 minute you're in the next.
you drop. Yeah. And that's.
Get the CPR going. All right, listen, we got all these cool things here. Let's see. Hello. Well, I turned it. See, this is why we test these things. Here we go. I did that. Yeah, we did that already.
Less yammer, less blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Hardly any yada yada at all.
Yada yada yada.
The Blab.
All right. Got a little pilot program working here today. 302-922-0276 if you want to weigh in on the phone line and check it out for us.
And test our phone line.
Yeah, and just so you know, if you're watching this and thinking to yourself, this used to happen on the talk radio station all the time. People would say, occasionally someone would call in and say,
yeah, I was listening to your show and I just, felt bad because nobody was calling. So I thought I would call and talk to you.
And I appreciated that, but you have to, and here's 60 seconds of context. When I do talk radio, I don't do conventional talk radio, okay? And I'm not going to diss on that tonight, but and I said up front when I first started getting into it again, and I was guest hosting, I said, look, if you want me to do it, fine, but understand what I do. I don't do that in the sense of what is cookie cutter, what I call cookie cutter conventional radio. Here's a stimulating sentence to get you all riled up and pissed off, and then open the phones and let's hear what you have to say. Because in large measure...
How about those parking meters in Rehoboth?
I have to be honest. I don't have to be, but I am. I'll be honest. A lot of times I don't really care what people think.
Right.
Now, what I said was, what I do, and I do this on my other podcasts, what I do is a commentary program that welcomes phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I don't live or die with the number of people who are calling into the show, which is one of the reasons I don't do talk radio that much anymore, because the program directors go, well, you don't do, well, then don't use me.
Right.
Okay? But because I think there's, okay. Same thing here. We're doing this to see how the equipment's cooking, to see if everything is in one piece, to have a chance to loosen up a little bit with the machinery and press things and see like, oh, that knob should be there instead of there. And I mentioned the phone number by way of saying if somebody wants to give us a call. And as the weeks progress, we'll have calls from noteworthy people, and we'll do the whole night.
Noteworthy. I like that.
But this is a very, and I apologize for it being a very long-winded way of saying that, you know, you don't feel like you have to call because we're desperately
Right.
hoping that someone will call. It's like the telethon where you can't raise any money because nobody. Did you ever see the Richard Pryor thing from Saturday Night Live? This is like 40 years ago. Very cutting edge. It was a parody. He was hosting a segment of a telethon, and all the callers are sitting behind him, and he comes out and he goes, for the United Negro College Fund.
Oh, okay.
And he's saying, you know, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, so if you just call 1-800-COLLEGE, and then and all the callers are just sitting there with the twiddling their thumbs, kind of looking up because the phone's nothing, not a call, and there's like a whole bank of calls behind him. And the shtick is that he gets progressively more irritated every time he glances over his shoulder and realizes nobody's calling. So he goes, you know, because these kids really care, and they want to get an education, and maybe we could use some help. So how about it? 1-800-COLLEGE. You know, and he stands there with that look on his face like he used to get. And then he glances over his shoulder once again, nothing. Some of them are starting to just small talk with each other because there's no phone calls on it. He turns around, and in great Richard Pryor voice, he goes, all right, how about this? For the next 3 minutes, every fucking dollar that this telethon gets goes to sending all the niggas back to Africa. The phones all light up. And I thought, you know what?
Nice.
40 years ago, but that would be timely today.
Yes.
Right,
It would be.
I don't know where that came from. What'd you bring me? You brought me
Everybody loves a good conspiracy theory, right? Okay. All right.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yes, yes, yes. A University of Cal Irvine student accidentally invented a rechargeable battery that lasts 400 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see that?
I didn't.
Okay. Well, here, let me get on my reading glasses because I'm old and decrepit. Maya Lee Tai, which you already know, I like her. She's a UCI student.
Did you make that up?
No, that's her name.
Okay.
She's a UCI student. A normal current cell phone battery can last 5,000 to 7,000 charging cycles.
Okay.
The one that Maya has created has lasted 200,000 charging cycles without losing any quality or performance issues. So apparently she coated a gold nanowire with an electrolyte gel when she was just playing around, and that's what did it. Okay, now here's where I say you like a good conspiracy theory. This was 2016. Now she is a senior process engineer at the Intel Corporation. Do you think Intel buried that project?
Of course they did. There's no question there. Do you have any doubts?
I don't have any doubts, but I'm saying everybody has everything's a conspiracy theory nowadays.
You know, you and I have had similar conversations about this kind of particular topic as we get into the whales. When you and God love you for it because you've gotten to know me pretty well, and most people who've gotten to know me pretty well know better than to ask me my opinion, but you keep doing it. And I said to you a while ago, I said in a different context, I said, why do you think there's no more prolific oh, look at there.
Oh, we have a call.
Okay, I don't want to get off the point here, but we'll do that in just a second. Hang on. Okay. There it is. Ricky, hang on a minute. Let me hang on 1 second, buddy, if you can. I want to do this point here. Here's the thing with it, okay? Why is there not more solar power available? Why are there not more homes and businesses and entire neighborhoods covered in solar power? Because the technology's been around with us for 30 or 40 years. You know why? Because the electric companies haven't figured out a way to put a meter on the sun.
Right.
15 seconds after they do that, you're going to have more damn solar power than you know what to do.
The same thing with the cure for cancer. It's more profitable to treat it.
Show me the money, baby.
Yep.
Let's go to our phones. And Ricky, are you there, pal?
Good evening. Come in. Where's the call screener?
Yeah, we got a lower budget than you do, buddy. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Excuse my voice, seasonal allergies, and I refuse to give in to the drug companies and take the Claritin. And I hope they're not a sponsor.
Well, I appreciate your telling me that you weren't feeling well, because otherwise I was going to think, boy, the phone thing on this new mixer sounds like shit, and I don't know whether we're going to be able to keep it very long or not.
How you doing, Ricky?
Good thing, good thing. So it's exciting to see your new show here with the video technology. I mean, really the future, bypassing the regular media industry.
Yeah, well, you know me. I've always been a guy that loves to adhere to the traditional and work along conventional means and follow all the rules that I can. Are you watching us on either Facebook?
I was, and I was looking for the phone number, on the Gaffney Morning Show it's also on Facebook Live. I got to get the promotion in.
Scott has to overlay that
yeah,
phone
I'm
number.
going to have to bleep that out, but go ahead.
We put Chiron in, if you will, the phone number.
Ah, yes.
And that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's now Ricky's a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. He's not critiquing the sound of our voices or giving us crap about anything. There's a very powerful and good suggestion. Rick, the truth of the matter is that it took me the better part of about 2 weeks to figure out how to make the microphone make the noise that it's making when I'm talking into it. So, the Chiron is around the corner, but you're absolutely right. That would be cool. And also, this is, as I think you may or may not have heard us talking about, we're not even officially up and running here. This is almost like a pre-dress dress rehearsal that we're going on. How were you watching on Facebook though?
Yes, and your mouth, well, this could be some type of joke that your mouth moves quicker than your head, but it's not. There's some type of buffering going on. Now, this could be the fine Chestertown, Maryland Wi-Fi that I'm working off of.
Yeah.
But the audio would come quicker than the head movement.
Okay.
But I think it looks good. You could get a sponsor there in the window, too. Maybe have on your cat.
Is it drastically off, or is it just off by a tiny little? So it looks kind of max headroom,
It's not all right. I remember that.
It's like a karate movie.
Well, I tell you, well, see, we get a little warning. I'll tell you, because you're a technical guy. What we're doing with this particular new setup that I've got is we're broadcasting. This is for Geek Speak. I'm broadcasting through an 8-pot Rode Procaster mixer into XSplit, which is the broadcast software, and I'm sending that signal both to YouTube for streaming live there and Facebook Live for streaming live there. And this is the first time we've tried it out. And
I'm jealous. This is something I want to put set up. If I could, I'd make all our wedding registry just as tech gear, but my fiance won't let me.
When is that? When is that big day, by the way? I forgot.
July 6th. July
My.
6th. So it's coming up. I'm even filled out the paperwork for the priest. A personality test. I'm not sure to read into that.
And this is your first marriage, right? Your first.
I haven't been as lucky as you. I haven't been as lucky as you've been.
Yeah, let me tell you something, buddy. I said this to something the other day. I read somewhere not long ago that some researchers, mathematicians or whatever, statisticians, they did a social survey, and they determined that across the board, the average American male is married. Statistically, is married 2.3 times in his lifetime, and so I would just like to say on behalf
You're
of
twice the average American.
I'm taking I've taken a couple of hits for you, and I've taken a couple of hits for Dave, and I'm happy to take the bullets, okay? Because
my aunt's been married 3 times, and third time has been a charm for her. So.
Well, good for her.
I'm just shocked she hadn't been married to Scott.
Wow,
you never
not
know.
that I know of.
You never know.
Well, if there's anything else I can assist you with, are you going to try to place 2 calls on at the same time?
Yeah.
Listener head to head.
Yeah. Oh man, the sky's the limit, and we don't have the crazy restrictions of either program directors or corporation crapola or commercial stuff.
Well, you do have to watch out. YouTube will take you down out of the blue.
Why is that?
It's happened. Copyright music or something. Or, sometimes people have darker conspiracy theories. But,
well, there's always.
See, by the way, I'm looking for the punchline. I'll leave you with this. This is the Norm Short in me.
Okay.
And you have to finish the punchline. Did you see today this photo that's come out of the first black hole picture?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some type of punchline there.
Oh, I had a punchline that had to do with something about the first pictures of the black hole and all the rest of that, but the punchline had something to do with Kim Kardashian, but
wow.
I couldn't put it
Well,
together.
gentlemen,
Ricky, thanks for checking in, buddy, and helping us with
On
the.
that note, I'm going to depart. Congratulations on the new show.
Hey,
you, buddy.
thanks, Ricky.
Best
Take
of the
care,
bride,
buddy.
I call
buddy.
it a program.
There
Very
you go.
formal. Take care.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the call.
Take care.
All right. Well, that works. Ricky is the producer, and he's joking about call screener, but he's the producer of a number of local talk shows, including, he mentioned Dan Gaffney's program on local talk radio. And Ricky's one of those guys that and I'm not saying it because he called in. I'm saying it because I consider him a friend and I appreciate
No,
it.
he's a good guy.
He's an excellent guy, and
Yeah.
I'd hire him in a heartbeat. And in an era that you can't say that a lot about a lot of kids. And when I say kids, he's, I've never asked him. I would guesstimate that Ricky's in his late 20s, early 30s. Maybe he's a little older than that. If he's older than that, he's aging extremely well.
Yes.
But just a super guy, and the kind of guy that, a go-getter, a self-starter, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. And I appreciate the call and knowing that we're not lagging that far behind on
Right.
Facebook. So, all right, as it turns out, we actually have like 3 or 4 minutes until we say 8 o'clock. So last thought was, did I answer your question on the...
Yes, you did answer. Now,
of course they did. They buried it.
yeah, yeah. I just found it odd that she's working at Intel now with a high position.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'm going to put thoughts in your mouth.
Put thoughts in my mouth.
Yeah, I was going to mix the metaphor. I think there's reason to be, you sold out. Is that what it is? But I'll tell you something, okay? And you want conspiracy theory, let's save this for next time. And I wish I had a dun, dun, dun here. Yeah, she did. But you know what? Those are powerful people.
Mhm.
And it may have been, and I don't want to, I'm not that guy. I'm not the tinfoil hat,
Right.
grassy knoll guy.
And I have nothing against
But
her.
I don't
mean,
put it.
you
I
know.
don't put it past him to come to her and say, "Listen, here's the thing. Okay, the good news is we're going to give you a lot of money to come to work for us. Okay, here's the other news. If you don't accept the offer, we know where your mother lives. We know where your family lives. I don't put it past them.
Well, Intel's a huge
I don't
player
put it
in
past
the
them for a second.
yeah,
I don't.
because they don't want a battery that lasts forever. That's the last goddamn
Which
thing
brings
they
us
want, you know
back
what I mean?
around to Kim Kardashian.
Oh,
There it is.
that is it.
All right. Thanks to Ricky Freeberry for checking in. And the number, we're going to put that on the Chiron, 302-922-0276. You will be able to see this and future broadcasts at our YouTube channel, The Blab, and also on Facebook Live. We will be live streaming Wednesday nights from 7 to 8 Eastern. And then the edited version or the formal version or whatever goes down of both the vidcast and the podcast will be available on a number of platforms by the end of business on Thursdays each week. So we'll do that.
Yes.
And you can check. And we've got the whole social media thing. There's a Facebook page. Go to the Blab. It's We Be the Blab. Email address, webetheblab@gmail.com. Wait, I've even got...
I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter.
Email us, webetheblab@gmail.com.
And there you go. And we're on Twitter, and we've got all that stuff covered too. So as the weeks progress, we would enjoy hearing from you, comments, suggestions for topics, conversations. And if you're interested in being on the program, you want to set up a time to call in, we would love to talk to you as well. So any parting thoughts?
No parting thoughts. This was fun. It was as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Well, it was good for me too. The only thing I would like to suggest for next time, if you don't mind. No, not that one. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. This is the end. Well, I will turn that off because I got to time this out right. We're still practicing on these things, okay? Because now the whole effect is lost to the joke. But what I was going to say was next week, try to keep your shoe on and instead of your socky feet, coming up under here.
Oh, well,
and tickling me every 5 minutes.
Footsie is footsie.
I'm Scott Edward Phelps.
And I'm Dave Simmons.
And
We Be the Blab.
Thanks for being with us. Later.
The Blab.